we pray to Almighty Allah to accept all our acts of ibadah in this holy month. I will start by congratulating those of us who are here today because of our children, those of us whom Almighty Allah has bestowed the gift of parenthood upon. The gift of a child is a blessing from Almighty Allah, and He bestows it upon whom He wishes. Allah says in Quran chapter 42, verse 49 to 50, and I quote, "To Allah belongs the kingdom of heaven and earth. He creates what He pleases. He bestows daughter on whom He pleases. He bestows son on sons on whom He pleases. Or He makes them male and female for some people, and He makes some people barren. He is Allah. Surely He is all-knowing, powerful." So having the gift of a child, being a parent, is a gift that Allah bestows on whom He pleases. And for that, I congratulate all of us who are here who have been able to witness that. Relationship is a connection between two people. And there are many factors that contribute to building a positive relationship with children. But I'm going to start by communication, which is the most important factor in building a positive relationship with children. Effective communication is the key and most important factor in building a positive and healthy relationship. As lack of communication or poor communication skills can cause misunderstanding in any relationship. The parent-child relationship is also a gift from Allah. However, raising a pious, obedient children is a task that requires dedication, sincerity, love, good communication, among other things. Communication with children may seem easy, but it is more complicated than expected. It involves having open and honest conversation, actively listening to ensure the child's voice is heard, showing empathy, and allowing practical expression of thoughts and feelings. I'm going to break this down a bit. When we talk about open and honest conversation, it's about being polite and showing kindness to your children whilst having an open, honest, and age-appropriate conversation. This is very vital in building a positive relationship with them. The Holy Prophet ﷺ said, "He who does not show kindness to children and does not give respect to elders is not among us." Parents should take note of the character of the Rasulullah ﷺ and smile more often when talking to their children. Rasulullah ﷺ said, "Smiling is also an act of charity." When we take this approach, this would create an environment of ease and comfort for the children, and they will feel loved and at ease while talking to their parents. When children have a respectable comfort level with their parents, they can speak to them about anything that happens in their lives without keeping secrets. We all know that a lot is going on in the world right now. A lot of children are struggling, and it's just the start. From a professional perspective, it's just the start. We have a lot of issues coming up for young people, and unfortunately, it's affecting younger generation than with the older generation. So, one of the things that we need to do is to ensure that our homes are safe havens for our children. We should build a secure and strong support network around them. If a child cannot have an open and honest conversation in their homes, they will likely look for comfort in wrong places, and they may fall in with the wrong crowd. I always say, no conversation should be off limits within a house. If a child cannot come into the house to discuss something about the gender dysphoria, something about LGBTQ, where do we want them to learn? So, going forward, many kids nowadays are suffering from depression and loneliness. There is a lot of mental health issues. They feel apprehensive to talk to their parents about their feelings and end up bottling them within themselves. Sometimes, even children disrespect their parents, or worse, they also abuse drugs, and some have attempted suicide. I've worked with a child of 14 that has attempted suicide 5 times in his 14 years. So all of this can be prevented with effective communication from a young age. Parents need to start creating a compelling and harmonious communication channel with their children from a very early age, if they do not want to regret it later in life. Often, parents rebuke their children for speaking too much or for asking too many questions. I'm afraid that is not right, especially in this world that we live in now. When you go out, you see a man dressed as a woman, and you don't want the child to come and ask you questions. They're supposed to come and ask you questions. If they are not asking questions, something is not right. Parents are their children's first teachers. They look up to their parents as problem solvers. While it may not always be easy to have answers to all their questions or solutions to their problems, and some of us as well are still trying to grasp what we are witnessing in the world today, it is crucial to listen to them. It is crucial to listen to what they have to say and then work on a solution or find an answer along with them. This will give children confidence in their parents and trust them with their problems. Now, when we talk about active listening involves listening attentively to what is being said whilst acknowledging what is not being said. I'm going to explain that again. It's about listening when a child is in front of you or is saying something. It's about being able to look at the face of that child, being able to look at the body language to try and understand what that child is trying to convey to you. What is that child trying to say? Not in words, but in their body action, in their body language, in their eye contact. When children are trying to engage with their parents, no matter how young they are, when children are trying to engage with their parents, no matter how young they are, it is imperative for children to let them speak and express themselves. This is no longer the age of when you don't talk when I'm talking. That era has gone. This is the era when we allow our children to express themselves. Because if we don't, there are people on the internet, there are predators on the internet that are ready to have that conversation with them. There are predators on the net, there are predators everywhere that are ready to allow them to express themselves. So to do so, we must listen carefully to our children and encourage them to talk. When they feel heard and understood, they are more likely to develop trust and affection for their parents. And they are also expected to cooperate and behave in a desired manner. Recently, I watched a video of a 5-year-old during Mother's Day celebration. The child was saying, she's 5 years old, she was saying how amazing her mother is, what the child mother is doing for her and everything. And then she ended that video by saying, but Mom, please listen more, because you don't listen. And Mom said, why? What do you mean I don't listen? And she said, earlier on, I was having a conversation with you, and you were giving me thumbs up, but you were not actually listening to what you were not actually seeing what I was doing, you were not looking at me, but you were giving me thumbs up. And Mom is, yeah, you were playing with your dog. The child now said, I was playing with my dog, but I turned with my dog upside down. I was trying to rip the head off, and then you were giving me thumbs up. You were not listening to me. You and Papa should listen more. I watched that video like twice. The child is 5 years old, and this is what is happening in the world now. We assume we are listening, but we are not looking. And looking and listening is the work hand in hand. As you are listening, you should also be looking as well. Because that is what a child is looking for. They are looking for you to listen to them, but are you actually seeing them as well? So that is both of them, the work hand in hand. Also, the era of shouting, of thinking that raising our voice as a child, that is how we are going to engage with them. That era has gone as well. Shouting or raising the voice as a child can have an harmful impact on their personality, their mindset, and their self-confidence as well. Parents must maintain a soft and respectful tone while talking to them. Often, parents shout at their children to discipline them or get their points across, but this should not be used as a last resort. A rude or angry parent instills fear and aversion in the child's heart, causing a distance in their relationship. This is not the type of behavior we want our children to emulate. We know our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never shouted at anyone, even in highly intense situations. Taking note of this, parents should not yell at their children. Instead, parents should use more impactful words in a neutral tone to convey their point. High-pitched conversation don't have a fruitful result. The young children will get scared of the parents or not understand the point of conversation. Or teenagers will develop a sense of bitterness in their heart for their parents. So talking politely and respectfully is a powerful determining factor in creating a healthy child-parent communication and relationship. Another point I want to raise is about showing affection and spending quality bonding time together. We know that in our society, most of us that grew up in Nigeria, it's not really a common thing. Now the narrative is changing, but growing up, it's not a narrative that is common in most places, whereby parents display affection publicly to their children or tell them how much they love them. Often, parents got so caught up in their worldly responsibilities that they neglect children. Providing children with a good quality education and catering to their day-to-day needs and desires are not the only thing a good parent requires. To have a healthy and positive relationship with children, parents must ensure they feel loved. This should start from a young age. Parents must tell their children how they love them. These children are not soothsayers. Unless you say it to them, there is no way they will know. But you need to show it by action and also by reiterating it to them at every point that you are loved, my child. Words also alone are not enough to make children feel loved. Parents must express their love for them physically too. They should hug, pat, and kiss their children from time to time to make them feel loved and warmth that they have for them. To make them feel the love and warmth that they have for them. One of the, on studying the Sirah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we get to know how much he loved kids. In a hadith narrated by the mother of believers, as Aisha radiallahu anha, we get to know that when a Bedouin came to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and told him that he and his people did not kiss their children. When I mean kiss, I mean not before, not this mouth to mouth. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to him, "What can I do if Allah has taken away mercy from you?" This is in Sunnah Ibn Majah. This hadith clearly indicates that expressing love for children by kissing them is encouraged in Islam. We know that every Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is beneficial for us. So it is highly encouraged to play around and spend quality time with our children and talk to them about their feelings and emotions. This strengthens the bond between parents and children, thereby developing more love and respect for each other. We must also spend quality bonding time with our children, individually and collectively. Not just together alone, but finding time to spend time to get to know each child within a family if you have more than one. This is very, very important. Some children get left behind. Some children feel isolated because they are in a family whereby attention. It is very possible for a parent to unconsciously sideline a child, thinking that because you are looking at the child, oh, this child is bubbly, is always very present, is doing everything right. That child could be overlooked because we feel the child has the strength to cope with everything while we are focusing on the children who may be struggling. However, spending time with them individually will enable us to get to know them better as each person, as a unique individual that they are. We'll be able to identify their strengths. We'll be able to understand where they are struggling. But also collectively as well, we are building a bond between them to be able to rely on each other, to be able to get to have that support, that connection with each other as well. So both of them, they work hand in hand, making sure we get to know our child individually, but also ensuring that we also collectively we bond together as a family. So we must spend quality and bonding time with our children individually and collectively. This will enable us to build a good rapport with each child and understand that better. At times, parents scold their children and rebuke them for interfering in their work. We all know how busy we get, and that this is the life we find ourselves. We need to make money. we need to do a lot of things. We know that, and that depends on making money in order to live a fulfilling life. But at the same time, it is in fact when our child are showing interest in our work that we should encourage them. We should encourage their interest and involvement in our lives as parents and in our work. Even if they cause interest, parents should deal with them in a wise manner. They should keep the children occupied in productive work that will make them feel responsible. Similarly, parents should help their children find their work and find their own work, to do their own work and indulge in activities that enable them to spend time together. Another point that I'm going to talk on now is what they call model desired behavior. Children are very observant and they tend to emulate the behaviors they witness in their parents. Research has shown us that children learn from observing others. So by demonstrating the behavior that you expect from your children, you are showing them a tangible example to follow. For instance, when we talk about family values, you cannot tell a child that in this our family, we are all about showing kindness and respect to people, being honest and accommodating. Once the same child witnesses you acting horribly to another human being or telling lies. You cannot tell a child that in this family, our watchword always is to pray 5 times daily, while your child watches you watching TV when it's time to pray. Especially in the matter of religion, we need to show our children what being a Muslim is all about. Do not force religion on children, but teach them about our beautiful things and allow them to learn and grow together. And this goes a long way. Alhamdulillah, for parents that have got children in Arabic Institute of for those that have got children, alhamdulillah, you've done some of the part. But what about other parts of the day? If I call some of our mothers here today now and I said, come and tell us how to pray, and then tell us the meaning of every prayer we recite on when you are praying, can all of us do that? So it is very important that while we're asking our children to go to Arabic, to join them in learning, to teach them by that example, that we're not giving up on our learning as well. As the old person have told us that knowledge is a lost property of Muslims, we must continue to seek for it until death overtakes us. So when we say that the children go to Arabic school, take them there, but we ourselves, we don't know the Quran, there's no age limit on learning. Why are we not learning with our children? To encourage them, to motivate them that there is no age limit on any learning. Why are we not having Walim or Quran where mother and daughter are doing it together? Where father and daughter, if you have not learned before, this is also an opportunity. Alhamdulillah, you're doing it for your children, but you can also do it for yourself because it will be a motivation for them going forward. Also, so and that's one of the things that, can you imagine if you and your child are reciting the Quran together? It is a beautiful thing to watch. Recently, a friend of mine, she had 2 ufas. She had one hafiz and one hafizah. During this Ramadan, she said the children were reciting every day. And then one day, because every evening she asked them, go and take your Quran, read, and start practicing, and she will be testing them. Then, I think it was last week or when Ramadan started, what the hafizah now, the girl asked, Mom, I'm a girl like you. Why can't you recite off air? And she said, oh, I didn't learn at your age. She said, well, you can start. And the girl was, I think, 8, and she challenged her mom to start from this Ramadan, to start memorizing Juz or Amor. And my friend was telling me, can you imagine this little girl challenging me? So that's beautiful. If you can start now, start learning. You send these girls to Arabic, you send her to an Arabic school. She memorized the whole Quran at this age. And she's now challenging. It's beautiful when we can do it together. This is motivation because she will not stop and she will continue as well. So we need to encourage that whatever we want our children to, whatever behavior we expect them to exhibit in the public, we must show them that example. We just don't tell them that you have to be good. We have to be good. We have to show our children how to be good before we can expect them to be good as well. Also, another thing that I want to mention about that is we need to let our children know why we are Muslim and not expect them to accept Islam because we say so. Attend mosque with your children. Pray Salah together at home. But also have contemporary, age-appropriate religious discussion in the house. Encourage them to ask you questions about this our beautiful thing. Give them the opportunity to explore. there is nothing wrong in a child, a Muslim child, taking out the Bible to look at some verses of the Bible in order for the child to understand the perspective of both religions. It gives you that strength, that motivation, that confidence to believe in what you are doing. That I am a Muslim. No one can tell me otherwise because I've had the opportunity to study both religions. But before we can do that, we need to educate ourselves. We need to put ourselves at a level that if a child comes to us, we are able to answer most of their questions. We have to, alhamdulillah, we have to fast among all of us. We have our fast that are directing us that can teach us as well. But also, we also have to start making sure we are also learning as our children are learning. When they see us striving to achieve better in our knowledge, they will also be motivated to continue to do so. And also, please do not force them into submission. This will not make them to resent the religion rather than show them the beauty of Islam. This will reaffirm their faith in Almighty Allah. We should always think about the time when we will no longer be around to guide them on religious matters or equip them with Islamic knowledge to enable them to navigate the difficult challenges of life. This is very important to start preparing them now for the future. There is a practice I grew up with my mom. When at least since the age I'm old enough to remember, every of my birthday, she would tell me before I was old enough to start fasting. Every morning she would tell me, I remember around from 10, she would tell me about the age. After praying and saying, and she would tell me about how you are 10 today. Then she would tell me what to expect as a 10-year-old. This is what the world is. Even though thinking back at the beginning, I don't really understand it. But by the time I became a teenager, and then she started teaching me about your birthday, you fast, you do this. But every year she tried to tell me like you're 12 years old now, the changes you see in your body, what can be happening, how to navigate that, and at the end she say, if you're ever struggling, you have Allah, you have your Quran, and you have me, talk to me about anything. And up till today, that shaped me, the way I celebrate my birthday. Every of my year, I think to remember, even though she's no longer here to do that for me again, I always make sure it's that my tradition on my birthday to reflect on my age and what I'm going to and what I expect. Because my mother is not here to do for me again, I try to do research about the age that I am. I try to talk to people and I try to learn more about what is expected of me as something of the age. And I think this is another way of developing a child to have self-reliant skills, because we know that death can overtake anyone at any point. So when we equip these children with this knowledge of how to navigate life difficulties, it will enable them to, when the challenges come, because Allah has already told us in the Quran, it's going to test us, whether we like it or not. We will definitely, as Muslims, will definitely face challenges, and we all believe that. So, having said that, when the time comes, the child will be equipped to have the knowledge, to have the strength to deal with life difficulties and challenges. Another thing that I want to mention under behavior is also, as parents, we need to acknowledge our inherited or learned behavior, and how that impacts our parenting style. And what I mean by this one is, some of us grew up in a household where silent treatment is the norm of the day. The way the parents punish us is to not talk to us, which is wrong, but that is what they know as well. It's not their fault. Some of us grew up in a house where verbal abuse is normalized. Some of us grew up in a house where unhealthy comparison with our siblings is the order of the day. It's always like, even though every human being is unique individual, every child is different, every child has their own unique characteristics. But comparing unhealthy comparison with another child is the order of the day, which knocks our self-confidence. We need to acknowledge this, and we need to, and how they unconsciously exhibit the argument, we may unconsciously exhibit the same behavior towards our children. Recently, there is this video on social media that, this of course, I don't know how to start, but the few that I've seen so far, they are always saying, of course, my mom is a Nigerian mom, and she will do this. Of course, my mom is a Nigerian mom, she will shout that. There's a lot, and I was watching one recently, and I was thinking in my head, how is this promoting healthy relationship with the children? Because in that house, it shows that the mom is always sending them on the non-stop errands. The mom is always cannot have a calm conversation with them, and the children were like, they were acting how the mom will act when she's coming from work, when she's cooking, when she's when watching that video throughout, I didn't see how the connection is. And that saddened me a little bit, and I was a bit, and then I watched another one. I watched the one that the media, most of that are from, I made in Nigeria as well. And I couldn't see it different. And I was thinking in my head, even though this might be the narrative, once, because yes, the whole world knows that Nigerian mom, they're very scared, they discipline their children for them to become better. But we also have parents that are very calm in their approach to their children. It's not all mothers that have to be shouting, treating children, behaving in a way that is not appropriate towards children. Not every house is like that. And not long after watching that video, I saw that was on another platform, and I saw on that platform where someone was asking that now in UK, government is trying to resort to chastisement in Nigeria, which is, if care is not taken, it might be a thing whereby if there is a situation where a Nigerian mother has an issue with maybe social services or something, that could be a thing where they will be looking at that. Okay, yes, it might be generalized, and that's the thing. That's one of the other sides of social media. So going forward, I think it is very, very for us to be calm when we are addressing our children. There is nothing wrong in our children being able to make a video of how calm, how patient my mom is when addressing me. There is nothing wrong in that. It would be beautiful to watch something like that, and not just most of the time it's about how parents will shout at you, how they will send you on errand like slave and things like that. I know it's not the same in all the houses. Also, we need to understand that some of us have got like what they call childhood traumas. There are behaviors that we went through when we are a child that it might impact on us negatively, whether we acknowledge it or not. It will definitely, it's part of us because we grew up with it. So unless we start to unlearn all those behaviors, it will be a hindrance to having a positive relationship with our children. Research has shown us that human beings go through different developmental stages from infancy to adulthood, and sometimes they may become stuck in a phase while we were expected to have grown past that stage. Even as parents need to support their children through each stage in life by providing guidance and direction through examples and sharing life experiences. It is also possible for a child to be stuck in a developmental stage where they themselves have not been able to leave that stage because of childhood traumas. However, the healing will start from acknowledging your life experiences, both positive and negative, and choosing carefully those learnings that have helped you navigate through life positively. These are the lessons you should try to teach your children. Remember that your child is different from you. Do not expect them to be perfect, but show them how to live a positive and meaningful life. Allow them to make their own mistakes. It is part of learning. Teach them about positive risk-taking and assure them you always have their back, always. This is what most children want in life. Another point that I'm going to touch upon is what we call positive discipline. People generally often associate discipline with punishment. However, positive discipline can help promote good behavior and the development of essential life skills in children. For example, by setting clearly defined rules and consequences, communicating expectations calmly and consistently, children are more likely to adopt them, and this will enable them to develop better self-discipline. The Yorubas will say,
it's working.
But if we work together with our children to identify what is if we work together with our children to set clearly defined rules, this is what we don't do. If you want to eat something, you need to ask me. The child knows. We already said that. Okay, mom, if I'm hungry, what do I do? What if you are not around? If I'm not around, this is where you go. You already give that child direction. But if this is not in place, you cannot expect just a child not to go for a biscuit where you are not at home. If you don't tell them beforehand, if you're not told this is the one you can eat, this is one that you cannot touch. This is what we mean by positive punishment. Also, engaging children in the rule setting process instead of dictating rules to them, asking for their inputs, listening to their concerns, and establishing guidelines that everyone agrees with enables a child to develop a sense of ownership and responsibility. If you tell a child, this is where the biscuits are, this is the one that I asked you to go. If you take this one, what do you want to happen? You already involved the child in setting the rules. You both agree, okay, mommy, if I take this one, I'm not going to go, if I take this one, okay, I'll go and sit somewhere, and you already, and that is it. You have to be honest with that one. You also have to be consistent, but also be flexible. Because right, validating a child's feeling and encouraging healthy expression of emotion will allow the child to handle conflict and challenges constructively. While trying to correct bad behavior through, we must be consistent, as this helps children to understand that if rules are broken, there will be consequences. However, we should also be flexible, as this is very important. Each child is unique, and what works for one child may not work for the other. We must adapt our strategies based on the child's temperament, age, and developmental needs. This is crucial, especially as being consistently flexible creates a supportive environment where a child feels understood. There is also what we call positive reinforcement. This focuses on acknowledging and rewarding good behavior, even as minute as a child just listening to do not leave that place and the child stays there. Simple verbal praise, a hug, or a small token of appreciation shows a child that good behavior is noticed and appreciated, encouraging children to repeat the same action repeatedly. In conclusion, most of what I've discussed are centered on what children will get from positive relationship with their children. However, I want to emphasize that parents also get something valuable from the time and attention they expend to build these meaningful relationships. Firstly, the children we build relationship with will be easier to teach, more compliant, and less likely to engage in disruptive or challenging behavior. Secondly, as children learn and develop positive relationships with their parents, they become skilled at identifying healthy positive relationships as they navigate life. Providing a child with the opportunity to have a warm and responsive positive relationship with you means that you have the pleasure of getting to know your child better and becoming best friends. Lastly, I will finish by reminding us all about the saying of the Prophet ﷺ, which says that every one of you is a shepherd, and you will be asked how you guided your sheep. ربنا هب لنا من ازواجنا وذرياتنا قرة اعين واجعلنا للمتقين اماما. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله. Takbir. Takbir. Allah, I will pray Almighty Allah to reward you. There is nothing we can reward you with except Allah reward you himself. And if we say thank you to you, I'm sure for Allah to thank you himself is worth more than our